And I'm telling you, Sacramento matters, particularly if they go up against the Golden State Warriors, because they want Golden State. They are not scared of Golden State. They lost all 4 times this year to them by a combined total of 12 points. It would be very compelling. I love what I'm seeing from them. I'm incredibly excited about their future, and I just love it. I really do.
Stephen A., to that point, Buddy Hield said that he's betting his house that they'll make the playoffs. So there's that.
Well, I think that if they're going to do it, they're going to shoot. I hope they're an 8th seed, so they're going up against Golden State. And I hope the Lakers elevate to a 7th seed. That's my hope.
If it comes down to a shot from 3, he's got a 45% chance of keeping his house. The dude can shoot the lights out. Sacramento's a really exciting, excellent, young ascending team. I underestimated the ability for them to put a team like that together. A lot of that has to do with De'Aaron Fox. Bagley has tremendous upside. You went over all the reasons to be excited about Sacramento. It's more about the Golden State Warriors to me right now. What have we seen in Golden State during this dynasty, right? They're the team of the era. They're defining this era so far. Well, first championship they won against the Cavs team with only LeBron James. His second best player was Matthew Dellavedova, and yet it went 6 games. That was a real series. Golden State doesn't seem to be quite as formidable with the chips on the line as they do in other cases. The next year, they win 73 games. Is this the greatest team of all time in basketball? Is it replacing the 94-95 Bulls? Is it the greatest team in the history of American team sports? 73 wins in an 82-game season? Oh, my God. And what happens? This time, the second best player for LeBron is not Dellavedova. The second best player is Kyrie Irving, and the third is Kevin Love. And that means at Oracle, in their faces, with 4:22 left in the game, the greatest offense ever didn't score a single point. That's not just the Cavs' defense. That's choking. I saw Steph throw the ball into the stands with careless passes. I saw the greatest offense ever not score a single point in 4 minutes and 22 seconds at home with the fate of the universe on the line. Then what happens? The greatest regular season team ever then adds Kevin Durant, an MVP caliber player. Okay, at that point, it's an avalanche, as I said. Nothing anyone could do, and they win the championship. Now it's time to repeat. They faced no resistance. Now it's time to repeat. But this time, you have a real formidable opponent in the West. You have Houston, that's really 65-win team, and they've doubled down on shooting the 3, and D'Antoni's taking his system to its limit, and Harden's running it and everything. And with Chris Paul, I picked them to beat Golden State. And lo and behold, what happened? At home at Houston, Golden State, the greatest team ever, had to go on the road. And they were lucky that Chris Paul, one of the 2 MVPs, that's a top-heavy team in Houston, didn't get on the court. And even then, Houston, with the worst shooting night ever, only loses by single digits. In other words, Golden State's been lucky along this run. They were lucky they faced LeBron without Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving the first time. They were lucky they faced the Rockets without Chris Paul. These are MVP caliber players, simply not on the floor for the other team. There is something about the Golden State Warriors that underperforms under pressure. They just went back-to-back. They crushed everyone because they stacked the talent so high it's an unfair advantage. But as soon as things get tight, so do they. I think that's what we see from those Sacramento games more than anything else.
You're saying that the Golden State Warriors, the 2-time reigning defending NBA champions, perform less under pressure?
Yep, and I'm saying this, Stephen A. There are overwhelming offenses. Let's take Mike Tyson in his prime, or the greatest show on turf. It's not that they're not great, and they won't be in the record books, just like this Golden State Warriors team. It's not even that they can't play defense, really. It's that when you measure them up to the New England Patriots, or Evander Holyfield, or a LeBron James-led super team, if it's really a super team, there's something about them that doesn't handle the adversity as well as the greatest of all time. And yes, I'm saying that about the Golden State Warriors.
What I see is champions that have to go through a grueling 82-game schedule, maintain health, and then in the process of doing that, go through competition. you looked at the Houston Rockets, because I have to surmise that their performance against the Houston Rockets and how it took them 7 games to get rid of them is the crux of your argument, because
Without
every other series they went through, they blew through everybody else. So that was a tough series, and in your estimation, they were on the verge of losing to Houston. Why were they on the verge of losing to Houston? Because Houston was a 65-win team, an elite team in their own right. And as a result, you felt, even going into the playoffs, that Houston was going to win the chip. So it's not like when you say they're underperforming, it's like, oh, they're supposed to destroy everybody, but they had a tough time, when in fact, that wasn't your argument last year. Your argument was the Golden State Warriors, as good as they are, Houston's made to beat this team, and they will beat this team. So the Golden State Warriors, as far as I'm concerned, did everything they were supposed to do. They won a tough matchup, and they blew out everybody else. How is that underachieving in crucial moment?
I'll tell you, because the Golden State Warriors were more talented than the Houston Rockets, and it wasn't just the Rockets
You conceded that last year, but you still picked Houston.
And it wasn't just the Rockets system, which is why I picked them. It's among the best players in the game. So Draymond Green, as excellent as he is, I'm talking about the MVP caliber players. Who do I trust under pressure? James Harden? No. Steph, KD? No, not really. The one I trusted was Chris Paul. And guess who wasn't in Game 7? And nevertheless, it was a single-digit loss in spite of having the worst three-point shooting night ever. So I just want to be clear. You
trust Chris Paul. And we all know how I feel about Chris Paul. I think he's one of the greatest point guards of this generation. We know how I feel about him. Am I to understand that you're saying that Chris Paul performs under pressure, but KD doesn't?
I trust Chris Paul in a big moment over KD, correct.
Just got to stay healthy. Don't forget that little detail, Max Kell.
I can't. Go to commercial.
Okay. You trust KD over Chris Paul in those situations?
Of course I do.
Okay.
As a shot maker,
KD equals LeBron.
Under pressure.
Keep saying that all day.
Pressure.
Of course I do. As a shot maker.
Chips on the line. Give me Chris Paul.
Guys, party's over.